On today's show, it's all about having multiple clogged drains and how it could be the dreaded sign of a sewer line blockage.
I'm getting ready to start plumbing.
I'm Richard Saad.
I'm John Eccles.
Today's topic can be considered one of the worst tragedies that can occur in your home's plumbing system.
Yep, we're talking about having multiple clogs, slow drains, and backed up toilets throughout the home, and how that's pretty much a clear indication that you probably have some serious issues with your main sewer line.
If you've got one clog at a time, two clogs at a time, what's the difference there, right? If that one clog means it's probably that one item.
Right.
If you've got multiple clogs, that means we could have a whole sewer main shut down.
Yeah, I think ideally in your home, whenever you're using a fixture, whether that be a lavatory sink, a shower, kitchen sink, when you use the water, you want it to go away. That's ideally how it works, right? We flush a toilet, it goes down, it gets out of the house. When you get a fixture stoppage, right, where you're having a stoppage only isolated in one spot, that's a lot different than multiple stoppages in what it means, right? So you have that stoppage in one area, that means that it's directly in line with that fixture. You start having multiple issues, right? So your toilet's backing up into your tub, so now your tub's holding water, your toilet's holding water, two lavatory sinks. That's a much bigger issue. That means you're probably having something more in lines with your main sewer line versus an individual fixture.
Yeah, correct. And we also have circumstances where the sink just fills up by itself. What creates that?
Oh yeah, that's this time of year, that's a big one, which would be probably most likely your AC drain line, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And if that's the case, we need to get that clear quick because that sink will not drain and it will overflow on that floor.
100%. Well, what actually causes a sewer line blockage?
Let's play a little game, John. I'm going to name a few items. You let me know when you get it. How about that?
All right, I'm ready.
Grease, baby wipes, hygiene products. How about tree roots?
Things you don't want to have in your sewer line.
Absolutely correct. That's right, John. Besides tree roots, most clogged drains are usually caused by what we refer to as unflushables.
I love that term unflushables because most people, when you say that, they're thinking of what we put in our toilet. But let's start in a different area because there's some things that you don't want to put down your kitchen sink as well, right?
Correct.
Spaghetti noodles, eggshells, rice, those three are really bad components. Even if you have a disposal or not, they tend to, what's the word that you love to use? Starts with the C, conguagulate?
Conglagulate.
Yeah, that's it. They get stuck together. All right,
Yeah.
They get stuck together.
Yeah.
And it gets all messed up and it creates all sorts of problems. Now, other than that, like Richard was saying, the unflushable items, obviously we don't like to put hygiene products, women's hygiene products you want to keep out of the drain lines. Obviously hair is something that builds up in there. I'm not a big fan of flushable wipes, even though they say they're flushable.
They're not flushable.
They say that they can be, but man, dude, this day and age, we pull a lot of those out of sewer lines. Mm-hmm. They tend to, again, in a perfect sewer line, which is very few places in the world, right? They're halfway okay. But if you have any sort of imperfection in that line, meaning any sort of slope issue, any sort of fitting issue, anything like that, they tend to really, really bind up and get stuck in that line really easily.
What they say when you buy those items, that they are able to be flushed, but the problem with them is they don't break apart. Right? They stay solid.
Yep.
And you think that they're going to biodegrade that quick, and they do not. So when they're carrying down your sewer line and there's any type of snag or anything that it can get hung on, it's going to get hung.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And then everything else starts to pack up on that item.
Yeah.
And that's when you get a complete shutdown.
Basically creates a dam within your sewer line.
That's correct. And then it becomes like hard as a brick.
Yeah.
And then water will hit it, but it's not going to go anywhere.
That's right.
And then when it dries out, which eventually it will kind of dry out, it becomes like cement.
Yeah.
And then we've got to use special machines to get in there and try to pull that or push that.
Yeah. So, I mean, we just wouldn't recommend it. That's just us, Obviously, they say that you can do it. It's your home. You do what you want. As professional plumbers, we wouldn't recommend it. We haven't discussed one of probably the all-time worst intruders into a sewer line, and that's roots.
Yeah.
Tree roots, it's just like anybody that's known anything about plants, right? Roots need water for the plant to grow. And roots grow in search for water. And the larger the tree, obviously the larger the root, and they become very intrusive, right? They're going to find a way. If there's any sort of leak in your sewer line, they're going to find that water, and they're going to slowly creep in. And then as they do, obviously they grow in diameter because they're getting bigger, because they're getting fed. It eventually breaks that pipe, and creates a collapse.
Here's a question for you. How would water get out of a sewer line?
Well, a good one, there wouldn't be, right? There wouldn't be, but you either have workmanship issues where maybe your new sewer line that's PVC wasn't put together correctly. Maybe you live in an older home where the ground shifted, right? And has put some pressure and separated any types of pipe, concrete, cast iron. Maybe you have an outdated sewer line that has some wear and tear and there's some creation. All it needs a little bit of moisture, and trust me, those roots are gonna find it, right? They are very, very dangerous when it comes to our sewer lines. It's just one of those things that, everybody loves a nice tree, but it can create some expensive problems.
Oh, sure. Sure, absolutely. So the warning signs homeowners always miss until it's too late.
Oh, yeah, for sure, right? So, if you're at home and you hear gurgling when you're flushing, if you hear or smell, you have a bad smell in your bathroom, that can be a huge sign that something might be going on. If you are using something in one area and then you get that noise in another area, that's also one, right? You ever had that happen? Mm-hmm. Where you're using maybe a lavatory and you hear gurgling in your toilet, you're like, oh, what's that about? Mm-hmm. My toilet's bubbling, I'm not even using it.
That's right.
That's a sign that something's going on in your sewer system that needs to be addressed.
And that's typically the main line when you start hearing those type of noises. It is going to be a main shutdown. Right.
Oh, 100%.
And you might not see, and it's going to hit your tub or shower.
Correct.
Whichever one that you have.
Yeah.
But you might not just be seeing it yet.
Yeah. Yeah. So typically when you have a main sewer line stoppage, right, you're going to see the affection come at the lowest fixture, which, like Richard just said, is normally your first floor, tub, or shower. The only time your toilet will ever be affected is if you have a 2-story home and there's no tub on the first floor. Right? That's very few and far between, but it does happen. But it's going to go to your lowest fixture first. That's why sometimes you'll flush your toilet and it'll come up in that tub or in that shower. You're like, oh man, what's going on? That's the lowest point, right? And so it's just gravity, right? So as it can't go down the gravity, it comes back up and it's going to the lowest point, which actually is kind of nice because you much rather know sooner than later. Mm-hmm. If you see that happen, you need to stop immediately and go ahead and call a professional. Right, you need to call Nick's Plumbing out there and have us come take a look at it. It's going to be something that 99.99% of homeowners cannot handle that, no matter what kind of skill level they have.
You covered the next question that I was going to ask, and that is, how can you tell if it's just that one item that's going to be stopped up versus the whole thing stopped up, right? So you did a good job explaining that.
Yeah.
Any questions around that, call us. We'll answer that.
Now, how does Nick's tackle a sewer line clog?
Well, a couple ways. If you're completely stopped up, what we would do first is run a machine to try to get it unstuck.
Right.
Then what we would do is we've got specialized cameras to where we can run that down the system, and if it is clear and we got it clear, we can run it and figure out what that created or what created that problem.
Yeah.
And then we can either do a spot repair or, depending on how bad the entire system is, we might have to do a whole replacement.
What about hydrojetting? I've heard about that a lot these days. Explain kind of what that is.
Hydrojetting is a great process.
Right.
That's basically taking high pressure water and putting it down the sewer, and it cleans the entire pipe.
Yeah.
Gets all the grease out, it gets everything out. And it is very high pressure, and it makes it as new as it can be.
That's right. I love that. I love the way that you put that into words. It takes it as close to new as possible, because some of these sewer lines are old, right? So they're not going to be new no matter what you do. But hydrojetting is a preferred method of getting your current sewer line as close to new as possible. It's a great way to do it. You know, let's touch back real fast on the camera inspections, because you've been in this business for a while, right? So have I. Think about before we had sewer cameras. Man, how difficult life was, right? What do you think the advantages of having the sewer camera inspection equipment is? Because there's still some companies that can't afford it, because it's very expensive equipment, and it takes highly specialized people to know how to run it and all those things.
It's about $10,000
right.
per piece. So it is expensive, and a lot of companies don't have them. But it's funny that you asked that, because back in the day, we would take the machine, when they didn't have, cameras weren't out,
Right.
we would take the machine, run it until it stopped.
Right.
And then we would just let it sit there and spin. And then we had this metal rod that we could jam into the ground, and you could put your ear to the other part of the metal and try to figure out where the head of that unit was. Pretty interesting. Yeah.
I remember
and then that's where you dig.
Yeah.
Right? Were you right? Were you wrong? You kind of didn't know. I mean, everything's covered up. It's all under grass. You can't see. But you tried to pinpoint the best that you could. And it was pretty neat. You push this metal rod in, put your ear to it, and that was that.
Well, nowadays we don't have to worry about that. Well, here at Nick's, we have several pieces of camera equipment that we love to use with our customers, but it takes the guesswork out for us, right? So we've decided to invest in technology so we can give our customers that peace of mind, and get a telephoto, kind of like basically taking a camera and put it inside your sewer line. And so you get to see the inside workings, and we can tell you exactly what kind of problem you're having, where it's at, how deep it is, and it takes, like I said, all that guesswork out. So when we tell you that what we see is what we know, it's the God honest truth.
It makes it tangible.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it takes something that's underground, makes it tangible. We know how to fix it. We can put a cost structure to it and get it repaired.
100%. Well, what about this, man? I hear this a lot. Chemicals in the sewer line. People, you got to stop pouring chemicals down your drain.
That's a big no-no.
I'm
right?
telling you, got to
stop. It eats
stop.
up our cables. It makes it dangerous for our technicians. And people, it seems whenever they have a shower stoppage or a lavatory stoppage, they want to instantly just throw Drano in it, because they don't want to have to pay a company like us to get it unstuck.
Yeah,
But it's very dangerous, because when we go in there to try to get it unstuck, it could splash on them, get in their mouth, get in their eyes.
Well, it almost has, a chemical drain cleaner has absolutely almost zero effect on the sewer line stoppage, right? The kind of stuff that you're going to get that you need for chemical, you probably can't get anyway. They do make some stuff, but it is highly dangerous that professionals can get. I would not recommend that. You're talking about a very truly toxic situation that when you have these chemicals trapped in sewer gas and all this stuff in a tight, confined space, it can create a disaster for not only the homeowner, but like you're saying, for the professional that comes in afterwards. We discourage that a lot.
Yeah.
All right. Now, there are some products, some healthy products that they're not blockage clearers, right? They don't clear a blockage. They're drain maintainers. Now, those items are something that I would recommend customers use. We sell some of those items. Drain maintainers are fantastic, right? But as far as the chemicals that say that they clear blockages, man, you got to stop pouring that down the drain. They're very, very tough on your system and on the person itself.
Well, think about the environment too.
Yeah. Oh,
Can't be great for the environment. It's going out to the street somewhere.
100%.
Going in the bio somewhere, right?
But if you are interested in the drain maintainer, right, you can always call Nick's. We have it. It's called Bio One. Again, this is a great product that you use to maintain your drain. It will not clear a stoppage, but it will help alleviate the items, especially soap scum, stuff like that, the buildup items. It helps keep those items moving through your system. So if you're ever interested in that, obviously just give us a call and we can set up an appointment to deliver something out or get it sent to you. The name of the product, again, is Bio One. It's fantastic. It's actually a pretty neat product.
There also are some products that people can buy that are extremely toxic. And I've seen some where it smokes up the whole bathroom.
Oh, yeah.
And which absolutely could cause respiratory, lung issues. I'm not saying on a permanent level, but it isn't good for you. And if you're not taking the necessary precautions to not breathe that in, and you think you're going to do it yourself, you're putting yourself at risk. Just don't do it,
Yeah.
right?
No,
Dangerous
absolutely.
for us and dangerous for you.
Yeah. And, you know, the easiest thing is guys, wrapping this up, is when you get in a situation where you got more than one drain acting up, it's probably not a coincidence. It's probably your whole system. But that's probably where you need to stop, pause a little bit, pick up the phone, 713-868-9907. Call Nick's, have us come out. We'll definitely get you taken care of. The other signs that we're kind of looking for, right? Slow flushes, the bad smells, odd backups, right? Maybe a sinking part of your lawn, you know, could be an indicator that something's brewing that's probably bigger than what you want to be able to tackle yourself.
Totally agreed. And in saying that, if you have any questions, concerns, you need things answered, just curious, John and I don't get vacation. We're always here. Give us a call.
Yeah, and one last thing. If you think you're going to try to fix it with chemicals, don't. Just call us. You'll thank us later when your eyes are done watering.
Love it. We'll see you next time.
See you next time. Why'd you stop?
Can't see.
Oh my God.
It wasn't on my screen.
It was a little below it. It had
Unthinkable. Unthinkable? Is that what it's supposed
Unflushables.
to be? Unflushable. Damn it.
All right. Take 42.